Are you ready? Can Crush Us. It don't really get no better than this the podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock them out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody. Power driving, hit them with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break them, let's go. Yeah. Can Crushers. Yeah. Can Crushers. Let's go.
What's going on, you guys? This is the CEO of Shane Taylor Promotions and the baddest of all time, Shane Taylor, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
From one bad boy to another, welcome to Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Mark the Mark Martinez, and no, I'm not calling myself the bad boy. Shane Taylor brings us in this week, and this week's interview is with the Mississippi bad boy, Zae Gates. Guys, Zae is a young, up-and-coming superstar. Yes, I said that. Superstar in the professional wrestling business. Make sure you get out there, follow him on all the socials. Make sure you follow his career as it gets ready to explode. I have a lot of questions for him, though. A lot of questions. You know the questions that we normally have. I'm going to throw some other ones in there. And I'm super excited to find out just some of his story. Okay? Zae reached out to me when I put a post up on Instagram. He's like, hey, let's hook up and talk. These are the ones that I like. I didn't know anything about Zae prior to this interview. So I'm going to find out everything with you here on Can Crusher Spotlight this week. Episode 499. This Saturday is the big one. Myself and Sir Michael Jenks is going to blow your mind with the guests that we have. Super excited about that. But that's not what we're here today. Today we're here about Zae Gates. And of course, Collar and Elbow. Hats, hoodies, tees, all the cool stuff that Al Snow and the Hooligans have down there. Go and buy all the merch you possibly can. And then use the promo code CANCRUSHERS to save 10%. Saving money is amazing in this day and age. There's not a lot of places that you can save money. Collar and Elbow is going to allow that by using our promo code CANCRUSHERS. Capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers saves you 10%. Also, you guys have noticed we have a WWEshop.com code. So if you're going out there, I'm going to say this, all right? And I begrudgingly say this. Christmas is right around the corner. It really is. So if you want to go out and buy some of the shop stuff, a new Seth Rollins shirt, a new Rey Mysterio shirt, whatever, use that code and it'll benefit me and you. So that's really cool. You know that we have a code. It'll help us both out. Do it. It's life-changing. I don't know if it's life-changing. Well, you get it. You get it. Sorry, I'm a little bit perched all of a sudden. Where can you listen to us? Oh my goodness. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all of them. And don't forget IMDb. Yeah, a podcast on IMDb. That's really cool. But we're also on Podurama. Guys, if you're just tuning in, finding us on Can Crushers, and you're looking for a new podcast place, Podurama. Seamless. From phones to laptops, Androids to iOS, desktops to Google, Podurama has you covered, that it'll just continue to be seamless for you. And you can see what number episode we're on for Can Crushers. $4.99. $4.99. Getting ready for the big one. I said maybe not, but maybe again we'll mention that a couple more times. Where else? All the socials. Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Threads. We're out there. Go ahead. Do it all. Join the conversations. DM us. If you're a wrestler and you'd love to be on the show after you listen to this one to find out kind of what we're talking about, it's your story. That's what the Can Crusher Spotlights are about. Your story. How you got into professional wrestling. And then, like, what wrestlers you like, da-da-da-da. Tell your story. Reach out in any of those DMs or the old-fashioned way. I heard this the other day that Gmail or email in general is getting old. What? That's essentially what a DM is. It's still an email, but cancrusher69 at gmail.com. We'll hook you up. We'll get you scheduled. And you come on and tell your story. Just like the Mississippi bad boy, Zae Gates, after Al Snow.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Hey, this is the Smoking Gun, Kane Carter, and you're listening to Can Crushers Podcast, and y'all strap in for this episode. This will be a good one.
And welcome back to Can Crushers, guys. You heard the intro, how excited I was to talk to Zae Gates, and we're just going to dive into this young up-and-coming wrestler that is going to take over shortly. And I give it the shortly because we always say Rome wasn't built in a day, but welcome to Can Crushers, Zae. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing well. I'm doing well. So, before we get into how you found wrestling and everything, can you give everybody kind of like an overlook of you as of right now, without going too far? Where are you at? What are you doing? And stuff like that.
So I'm the Mississippi bad boy, Zae Gates. I've been wrestling for like 3 years now. I started training in August of 2020. I'm currently wrestling in Indianapolis, Indiana. You can catch me every Friday at WCW Arena at 1151 Kentucky Avenue. I also travel through Indiana as well, and I'm currently starting to take out-of-state bookings.
You did that like you're definitely a pro, because I've had people 10, 15 years into the business, and they're like, what do you want me to do? Once you got it, you just rolled with it. So great job. Great job. All right. So that's the meat and potatoes of everything, folks, as you know that we normally do here on Can Crushers. But let's do the all the way through wind back and everything. Zae, who introduced you to professional wrestling? Mom, Dad, Aunt Sally? How did you find this crazy business?
So, I was so when I was younger, me and I would live with my grandma on my dad's side, and I lived with my uncle as well, and we were like close in age. Like he was like, I want to say 10, 11 at the time. I was no more than about like 7, 6, 7. So he watched wrestling a lot, and then I just started watching it with him, and I instantly got into it. And like I didn't know, well, like really once I started paying attention, that like it was really all around my family. Like a lot of people in my family was watching it at that point.
Okay, that's the great way. That's essentially how I got into professional wrestling too. It was my grandfather, but then an uncle would watch it with us and everything as well. Can you pinpoint, and I know this is a tough question, because if you would ask me, I'd be able to say, I don't know. But what was your first memory of wrestling? And I'm going to throw some names. Did you remember seeing it first? Or, who are some of the first people that you remember seeing?
So what's crazy, because I wasn't really a big fan of them, but I'm still not now. But, well, one of them I am, but the other one I'm not. So my first memory was, I came up here to Indianapolis to visit. I was like probably 4 or 5, and my uncle was watching SmackDown, and I remember seeing JBL on the TV, and then I ended up seeing Booker T too. And what was crazy, my uncle had both figures. Like he had a JBL and he had a Booker T. So I kind of like was just playing with both of them, and as I was watching it, and ever since then, it was like I was addicted.
Did your uncle end up giving you those figures, and do you still have them? Because they're probably worth something now, right?
Yeah, I don't know what happened with his. I don't know if he lost them or not, cause like he don't got Madrid. I still have mine. I still have all my figures, but he don't got his, so I don't really know what he did with them.
Do you still? And no shame in this, because again, Zay, I'm 46 and I have to battle my wife every once in a while, but I still collect. Do you still collect figures?
Oh yeah, I still collect them and I still play with them from time to time when I'm bored. I just fiddle with them a little bit.
Yeah, because there's no shame in at the age of 46, when nobody's home, you line up your whole card and you bring out your ring and you sit on the floor like a 10-year-old or something playing with your wrestling figures. There's no shame in that, so never stop doing that.
Nah, that's exactly what happened. I just got an MJF figure like a few weeks ago.
I'm just, again, age. And I'm going to beat this to a dead horse probably all show, and I apologize. But yeah, back in the day, wrestling figures were like $5. It's a tough pill to swallow when you're buying one figure for like $25, isn't it?
I promise you, bro. For two of them, you spending $50.
Yeah, it's sickening how much they are. So you brought up Booker T and JBL, but who are some of the people that you actually definitely did like and you really wanted to watch when you were young?
Jeff Hardy, Shawn Michaels, John Cena, of course, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, to name a few.
Legend after legend. You didn't throw anybody horrible in there. Like, once in a while, somebody will say, and I'm going to get heat for this, once in a while, somebody will say, like, Carlito. They're like, who the hell watches Carlito? Who wants to watch Carlito? You know, all yours are great.
Yeah.
All yours are great. So, listen, you're young. You're young yet in life. You're young yet in the professional wrestling business and all of that. But what have you done before you got into wrestling? So throughout, like, school and growing up, kind of sports, because I link every sport to knowing that you're getting to professional wrestling. Is that correct?
Yeah, right.
So what things have you done moving before you made a decision to get into wrestling?
So before I was playing football, I played in Mississippi from Pee Wee to my freshman year of high school, and then when I moved to Indianapolis, I played my sophomore year, and I ended up quitting football my sophomore year, like right in September, because my papa, who I look up to, he was like one of my father figures. He had passed away. So I went back to Mississippi, to attend his funeral. Then I stayed for a little bit in Mississippi before I moved back. And it's like once I moved back, like something like because my coach had told me, he was like, you know, you can just come back next season because I know how this affects you. And I ended up not coming back. That's when I started like looking for wrestling schools. I was ready to train.
And it's like you're reading my notes, because my next question is, tell me how now, you know, you played football, how does that transition to you getting into wrestling schools? How is that? Did you just get online and say, hey, I'm going to find the first one, or do you know somebody there, or do you find it because you went to an independent show?
So I messaged this promoter in Indianapolis. His name is Chris Doyle. I don't know if he still promotes, but he was one. I was supposed to start at his school, but so I don't know what happened with his company. So he sent me to Joey Owens. It's located in downtown Indianapolis, but he located me to him, and he was like, just go to them, because his brother is a photographer at WWL, and he also shoots for MLW as well and does stuff there. But he sent me to them, and I just started training with them from then on. The rest was history.
So, first day of training, because these are always the great stories. First day of training, you walk in, you're going to take over the world, right? I am going to kick ass and take names and look out wrestling world. Tell me about that first day. What was it like? And I'm being nice, but did you kind of get humbled a little bit, saying, oh shit, this is not what I expected?
So I got in there and I thought I was ready. I was like, okay, this is the moment I was waiting for. Like I was excited because it was like I ain't never really seen no. I've never been in a wrestling ring before. Like I went to like one show in my life before I ever trained. So it was just like I never actually stepped inside of a ring. So it was just I had to take it in like I was starstruck a little bit. And then like once we got down to practice and I actually got to doing it, like the first bump caught me off guard. I'm like, oh snap! Like I ain't know it was that. I ain't know the bump would hurt that bad. Like I thought, of course, I feel it a little bit, but I ain't know it was as bad as it was. Like actually taking the bump. Yeah, it shocked me. I ain't know it was that physical.
After that first bump, and you kind of get acclimated that, all right, this is going to hurt, but I can wear that off. What was the hardest thing for you to actually catch on? Because I've heard stories from legends saying running the ropes was horrible, learning the psychology of it, or was it just the physicality? Because I've heard from across the board that some of them just take forever. What was your hard one to catch on to?
So everything else came easy, like the bumps and all that. What was harder for me was like actually slowing down and going at a pace, because I used to get told all the time, like they used to call me Happy Feet when I would practice, because like when I would do a lockup and then I would transition to like an arm wringer or something, like I was constantly moving my feet. Like I was taking too many steps, way more steps than I had to. So that was the hard one for me, and slowing down. Like I was always going through everything quick instead of like actually taking my time to let everything register and sink in. Like those were the two things that I struggled with the most when I was training.
I can hear your coach now then saying, let it sell or let it cook or slow the story down, right? Because you were just in there, and I don't know you verbatim at all. Everybody, we know this for a fact now, but I know what you're saying, that you just punch him, kick him, do this, do that, and then it was like, holy crap, you have to let it sell, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They was just like, slow down, like, don't move too fast, because, yeah, it was the way he explained it to me. And once the more I kept at it, and it caught on naturally to me.
After your first, little bit of training, and did you ever have the thoughts of, this is more than I bargained for? Did you ever have the breakdown moment of, no, maybe I'm not going to wrestle and I'm going to go do something else?
So what's crazy is that I don't know if I was just so driven by the fact that this is what I wanted to do that got me through it. But like I never had that doubt or that moment that said I can't do it. Like I never once like doubted myself and was like, nah, this ain't for me. Like I actually pushed through it naturally, and I didn't realize how natural I was pushing through it. Like I never thought about, oh, this is too much, like, or nothing like that. Like I never really thought about it that way. I just like when it came down to a move, well, like of course there were certain moves that I was scared to take because you got to get used to it.
Right.
So when I was scared to take a move, I just was like, I'll just think about it as like my favorites that I look up to that is doing it. Like, oh, this person is doing it, that person is doing it, and they got through it perfectly fine. So if they can do it, I can do it. Like that's just how I looked at it. I never really unmotivated myself from it.
And that's a great way, not only in wrestling, but in life. That might be the life moment, folks, of the podcast, and we try to always get those. But yeah, just look up to your legends, your heroes. If it's whatever you're doing in life, if they can do it, you can do it too. And it's that simple.
Yeah.
It really is, because I think as human nature, we have this thing in the back of our head saying, nope. But if you can push that away, and Zae, you said it perfectly, there's no issue with it.
All right.
So let's talk about your first match. You said you've been in wrestling for roughly 3 years now. How many matches about do you have underneath your belt? And then tell us the story about your first match. We want to know the jitters. We want to know how excited you were and all of this.
All right. So I got about I know I'm somewhere in the hundreds. Like I don't know exactly where because I didn't had a lot. I didn't had me a handful of matches, but I started training in August. So I had my first match in November of that same year. So I trained August 2020. I had my first match November of 2020. It happened because so every year where I train at, we also run a weekly show, and we do like Halloween stuff like for every holiday. So for this particular event, the Halloween event, I dressed up as a guy I look up to that on the indies that trained me. His name is Dex Royal. He was very hands on with training me too. Like because we found similarities between us, and a lot of people pointed that out. So I dressed up as him for Halloween because I'm like, a lot of people get pairs. I didn't have an idea for a costume. So like, I just dressed up as you. He was like, oh, that'll be funny. So yeah, I dressed up as him, and the guys that run our shows, they was like, you know what, we can put that in the store. That would be a great idea. Have Zae come out as little Dex, and he wrestle as him, and you know what I'm saying? They was like, he'll just wrestle the matches for him to lead up to the pay-per-view. So that's what I was doing. So my very first match was actually against my mentor Dex because he was like, oh, I don't have nobody to defend my title against. I'll defend it against myself. And then I came out, we wrestled the match. And I'm not going to lie, I was like, at first, when I found out about it, putting it together, I was excited. I was like, okay, this is the moment I've been waiting for. This is now, like, this is put up or shut up. Like, it's either I do this and I continue with it, or I shit the bed. Sorry for my language, but
No, we're used to that here on Can Crushers.
But yeah, it was like, or I just messed up, and you know what I'm saying, that's it. So I was excited. Like, I promoted it. I was telling people, because I was still in high school at the time. I started training when I was 17. So I had my debut at 17. So I was telling everybody at school about it. I was in a relationship, so I was excited because, you know, I never had that in high school. So it was like I got that in wrestling. And then my dad was there, and my girlfriend's mom my girlfriend at the time, her mom was there. It was like it came full circle at that point. So leading up to the match, like the night of the match, that's where the nerves kicked in. Like, I was nervous at that point. Like, heart was beating fast, my body was just sweaty, and I was like, I couldn't sit down, I couldn't sit still. So I was very like nervous. Once I got to the curtain, it was like I had an outer body experience. So once I hit the curtain, and just like to be in that spotlight in that moment, it was like I had way too many emotions and way too many feelings at that point. And it was like, once I was in there, I couldn't even hear the cheers from the crowd. I just was focused on the match. And I didn't realize how good I did until I went back and watched it. So by the end, it was like, once that happened, I was like, okay, now I got the feeling. I just kept pushing.
It's nice. By the way, I love how you made reference to the curtain, because as a ring announcer, I get the same thing. I'm very anxious and everything, so I'm back behind the curtain before I pop out right off the bat to start the show and everything, and I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do wrong? Da-da-da-da-da. The curtain is magical in professional wrestling, isn't it? Like, you could be having the worst day of your life, and then boom, you come out of that curtain, you're a different person.
Like, I didn't have those experiences multiple times. I have a bad day, or I'll be going through some of the situation, and it's like I'll be down and sad and gloomy all backstage, like trying to stay in my little shell. But it's like, once I hit that curtain, it's like everything goes away, and then I come back to the back, and I even be happy like after the match, like I'm talking to him, it's like I'm back to normal.
Yep, I agree. I love that you had kind of your first match with your mentor, knowing that you were having your first match with your mentor. Did that kind of relax you a little bit more comparative to, you know, you're having a match with me. You don't know me. We might have went over it a little bit backstage, but you knew that he, no matter what, because this is the number one thing in wrestling, and Zae, I'm sure you're going to back me up with it, is to take care of your opponent, right? Without a doubt, that's number one. You knew he had your back no matter what, right?
Yeah, most definitely, because it's like after that, my first few matches was within his storyline, so I wrestled him first, wrestled somebody else, and then like we'll go end up on the same show in another town, and they put us together every time. So it was just like it got to a point to where now we know each other like the back of each other's hands. Like we had a match not too long ago, and it was like a banger. So it was like I feel like that compared to being against somebody you don't know, because I had that experience too, going against the new person, and it made me nervous because it's like, okay, I don't know this person. I've never, like, you know what I'm saying? We've never trained together, none of that. So now I got to put trust in him. Whereas if I was back wrestling my mentor or somebody I trained with, I would have, because we've already been through this together. So yeah, I definitely see that. And I've actually been through that.
Yeah. Forgot to ask you this. When you make the decision to get into professional wrestling and you tell parents, girlfriends, friends and everything, what are their thoughts? Are some of them like, you're crazy, you're going to be the man, you're going to be the myth, you're going to be the legend? Tell me some of those processes that parents essentially are like, oh, my little boy, I don't want him getting hurt. Did you get any of that?
So I've read my mom, she already knew I was going to eventually do it, because it was always something I wanted to do. I played football in school up until I got old enough to do pro wrestling, because that was already my goal since I said I wanted to play. Since I wanted to do wrestling. So my mom always told me, like, chase your dreams, always chase your dreams or whatnot. So everybody I grew up with knew. When I first told my dad, I don't know how he took it. He was just like, I don't know what he thought about it. He was just telling me, like, yeah, go do it. Like, he's like, you'll be on TV making money and stuff like that. Like, go make that money. When I told my girlfriend at the time, though, she was like, she couldn't really take it serious. Like, she didn't know if I was being serious or not until I told her that I was going, like, I had a date to go train and stuff like that. And then, like, once I did it, like, everybody supported me. It was to the point where even people at school was asking me about it, and I don't even know how they found out about it.
Right? Yeah, that's cool. It sounds like you have a hell of a support system, and that's number one for an indie wrestler, to have a support system like you have. The rest is all on you, and it seems like, one, you have a level head, and from the clips and videos and everything I did see, you got the talent, Zae. It really is all about the talent and who you know. You're going to get there. So I'll give you my blessing and everything as we move forward. But, yeah, you got it in the ring, dude. You really do.
Thank you.
All right, so this is where we find out who the Mississippi bad boy Zae Gates is. My three people. All right, let me give you my three people. When I've seen the clips and everything, I instantly think of these people. Then tell me how either horrible I did or, if I'm spot on. When I saw some of your clips, I saw Lio Rush. Instantly saw Lio Rush. You move in the ring like him. You're fluent. So that's number one. Number two is Gargano, because you can get technical. If you need to, you can get technical. And the other one, you may not know, but he's a wrestler in Oklahoma, Texas area. His name is Kane Carter. He's been on the show before, but that's actually the first person I've ever seen that made me think of you, right off the bat. I thought of Kane Carter, then I thought of Lio Rush, and then I thought of Johnny Gargano. So you might not know Kane, but that's okay. Look him up. He's doing amazing things down in the Oklahoma, Texas area. But am I close with Lio and Gargano at all?
So what's crazy, Lio is actually one of my favorites today. So you hit the hammer on you hit the nail on the head with that one. I definitely look up to Lio in today's time for wrestlers. Gargano, I like Gargano. I've seen a couple of his matches. I think he's one of the best wrestlers coming out of NXT. Like, one of his best matches, I feel like, was him and Adam Cole. So, I watch Gargano from time to time. I definitely have to check out Kane Carter.
Yeah, check him out. So if you could put three wrestlers that today kind of make up who you are, and I know because we've had Manny Fernandez, NWA star from long ago, on the show, and it changes all the time, but three wrestlers today that, make up who Zae is, who are those three wrestlers?
So, of course, like we just talked about, Leo Rush.
Right.
Carmelo Hayes.
Okay.
And Ricky Starks.
Ooh, why did I forget about Ricky? Carmelo.
Honorable mention Seth Rollins.
Okay. Honorable mention. All amazing. All amazing. Before we get into some of the silly stuff that we kind of do on here, when you were training, did they have you do like tape study from long ago? And long ago for you is not that long ago for many others. Sorry.
Yeah.
But did they make you watch anything from like the 80s or 90s or anything?
They didn't force me to. They just suggested like, hey, these are the guys I think you should check out. And you know, my personal that I like to check out from the 90s is of course Shawn Michaels. I like to watch Bret Hart too, and I like to watch a lot of The Rock from the 90s.
All right, so you brought up that whole mess. Was the Montreal Screwjob a work or was it real?
So I've actually watched multiple documentaries, and my favorite one was I don't remember exactly how what they titled it, but it was the one documentary that actually Bret had the mic tied to him, and they actually recorded some of it from that day that is in the documentary.
Oh, the Dark Side of the Hearts or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I watched that a couple of times. Like I even go back and watch it. From what I've seen from there, I feel like it was real because Vince at the time they was doing the Monday Night Wars, and you know what I'm saying, Bret, with the competition that they had, of course money was gonna play into the situation, and Vince was trying to increase the product. He couldn't afford Bret's contract, like from what he negotiated with them. So I feel like it was real. Bret. I feel like Bret should have. I feel like if they came up to a conclusion, they should have stuck with the conclusion instead of taking it that far. But I feel like, from my personal opinion, I don't think it was a work.
I don't think it was a work either. And our opinions, clearly, it's been resolved by now. Everybody wouldn't care what either one of us say, and that's no disrespect to you or me. But if you could point a finger at one person, who are you pointing it at, though? I'll go first, and it's clearly Bret Hart.
I'll say Bret too.
Okay. Don't get in any hot water or anything. All right. Let's kind of take a little break away from wrestling and get to know Zae a little bit outside of the ring. You know, not deep and everything, but we always throw out some stupid or some just off-the-topic wrestling questions. So,
okay,
what's your hidden talent? You know, don't say wrestling because everybody knows you're a great wrestler. But what kind of nonsensical thing can you do that you don't tell a lot of people? But you're going to now tell thousands here on the podcast.
I can dance a little bit. I like to play drums a lot. I used to play drums when I was in church, so I can drum. And, of course, I like to game, too, so I'm a good gamer.
All right, perfect. That was coming up. What are you playing? Because I had a feeling you were a gamer. I did. So what's your game of choice right now?
I play a lot of Fortnite. I like to play Madden. I love to play Madden. What's crazy is I'll play a WWE game when I first get it, but after so many months of me playing it, I'll just not quit playing it until the next one come out. And then
that's me. That's already me with Fight Forever. By the way, do you have Fight Forever yet?
No, I gotta get it. I'm kind of mad that Punk ain't. Well, Punk's
in it.
Tripping.
Yeah,
it was somebody else that was missing off the game that I was mad about not being on there. I'm trying to remember who it was.
You brought up Fortnite, and I played a little bit with my son when Fortnite actually kind of just came out. And listen, again, I'm 46. I can't do what you youngsters can do on video games anymore.
Yeah.
But the Stadium Stampede, when you do get Fight Forever, the Stadium Stampede for you Fortniters that love it is exactly that. You're just going around in a stadium beating the hell out of everybody, trying to get to the circle before you die and the world explodes up. But it's at a
Yeah.
slower pace. It's so much of a slower pace, and it's so fun. So I get Fortnite now. I just can't do building and running and everything all at one time. So
Yeah, I'm a terrible builder.
oh, you hide and shoot then, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I do. I hide and shoot. I'm good at aiming and shooting on games, so I just hide and shoot and all that other stuff. I'm not a builder. I just gave away my game plan for whoever play with me.
Yeah. Well, don't give them who you are online then. You don't have to do any of that.
And they're going, let's look for Zae.
Yeah, there you go. He's going to give it away anyway. If you could, this is dead or alive or, whatever, if you could spend a day with anybody in history, who and why?
Michael Jackson.
Really?
I love Michael. That's one of my favorite singers of all time. Michael is goated.
Nice. I completely respect that. I love that, actually. You kind of just, it was a shock, but it was like, yeah. And this is going to be rough for you, I'm sure. Top 3 favorite songs of Michael Jackson, then.
Dirty Diana is one. Let me see. I like Heaven Can Wait. And my third one, this is hard. I'll say, shoot. I'll give it to Heartbreaker.
Okay. I just rattled through some songs into my head right now. I love Black or White. Pretty Young Thing is probably one of my favorites. And Dirty Diana, now that that's just stuck into my head, is probably there. Don't get me wrong. I like Bad. I like Thriller.
Yeah.
I really love Thriller, especially the dance, because I can't dance, but I will dance to Thriller anytime it comes on. The whole video that they do where the zombies are dancing and all that, yeah. I'll dance like an idiot, Zae.
I had the Michael Jackson game on the Wii. I used to play that all the time.
Really? I never knew anybody that had that. You loved it?
Yeah, I had it on. I had it on the Wii when I was like in middle school, and then I got it again when I moved up here. I got it again. Me and my girlfriend at the time, we decided to get it and play it. We were like 17 and 16 playing that.
Nice. I love it. I really do. Final stupid question, essentially. What's your favorite meal of the day?
Pork chops and macaroni.
Oh, all right. So we're going like supper.
I love Alfredo too. I love Alfredo.
Okay. I always say this because this has been started by wrestlers in Oklahoma who have been on the show, and it always transitions into this anyway. When you make breakfast cereal, can you please tell me how you make your cereal? I want to find out if you're a sociopath or if you're a normal human being.
So I get my bowl, then I get my cereal, I put it in the bowl, then I pour the milk.
Okay, you're not a sociopath then. You're smart. Yeah. Do you know anybody that pours the milk in first?
No, I don't think ever. You pour that? My sister does. She put milk in the bowl, and I even know she do that. She just heard the question and said she do it.
She's nuts. Run, Zae. Run. Those people are different. I'm kidding. All right, back to wrestling to kind of get into some of the harder, questions. How much wrestling do you watch now? And then kind of like, who are some of your favorites? Are you spending hours watching wrestling and all of that?
So I watch wrestling. If I'm not watching a show or studying every day, I'm at least watching a promo on YouTube or TikTok or something like that. I try to get as much wrestling knowledge as I can, and I watch everything. Like I watch AEW, I watch WWE, I watch NXT. I'll even try to chime in and watch a little MLW from here and there, or I watch Impact as well. Like I try to watch companies that I would go to. Like I right now, I would love to go to MLW or AEW. I even watch some Japan. Like I watch a little bit of Japan too. So, and I have favorites from each company. Like right now, MLW. One of my favorites is Enzo.
Yes.
And
thank you for giving him some love, by the way. Yes.
Yeah, I've been watching Enzo since I was a kid. And who else is another one of my favorites? Impact, Leo Rush. Of course, I already said Leo Rush. AEW, Ricky Starks, Darby Allin a little bit, Jeff Hardy. Who else to name a few? I like Jay White. I love Jay White. He's cool. From Japan, Michael Elgin, Kazuchika Okada, NXT, Carmelo Hayes, top tier. No, that's one
number
of my
one.
favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. And WWE right now on Raw, I'll give it to Seth Rollins. He's the GOAT. SmackDown, I love Butch. Well, Pete Dunne. I've been watching Pete Dunne since his NXT UK days. From then on, I love Pete Dunne. And Jay Uso.
Yeah. Is there a storyline that you're just extremely hooked in right now, that even as a wrestler, as a talent, and you know how kind of storylines work, because I do this as well as ring announcer, but is there something that you're like, man, I'm just a fan of this because this is just everything I wanted?
Right now, I would say I'm deeply invested in the Adam Cole MJF thing. Like, I'm really invested in that. I was for a little bit. I was also as well invested in the Bloodline. The Bloodline was one of the most interesting stories of all time.
Do you feel it's getting a little bit long though? Now the Bloodline.
But, no, I mean, to be honest, like it's so pay attention to how long this was going. Like I didn't realize this was going on for 3 years until they first mentioned it. Like I just never paid attention to it like that. It's crazy how storylines work, because a story, like as a wrestler, with me looking at it, I don't know if anybody else look at it this way, but I feel like a storyline could be going on without anybody even knowing it. Like I feel like those are those storylines that just happen on accident. Like something happened and now it turned into a story. Like I never knew that it was going on for 3 years until they first said it. Like I didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah. Those are the best storylines, though, that you don't know it's a story. I completely get it. Get it. To piggyback everything that I just asked, can you watch wrestling as a fan still, or do you catch yourself saying, oh, now I see? You know, are you always making it a little bit of tape study, too?
So it depends. Like, with the Bloodline storyline, it had me like that for a minute. Like, and then it got to those points, like, to where I was looking at it from a fan perspective now, because it was so unpredictable. Like, if something happened and I can predict it, then yeah, it's hard for me to go back to the fan aspect. But like, when they throw curveballs and stuff like that, that's when I get back into the fan stage of it. Like, I'll go back and watch some old story. Like right now, I'm watching the storyline of Raw from 2004 with Benoit, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. And it's like, you know, I try to go back and watch it to see if I can predict it, because I don't know. There's storylines where I don't know the ending to it. So I'll go back and try to see, okay, how did it end? And I'll try to predict it and call them, okay, I think this is going to happen, this, and this, try to test myself.
Nice. So you continue to do tape study throughout. Now I like that, because it's continuous practice in your head and growing within the business as well, right?
Right.
Yeah. What is the best advice that anybody in the professional wrestling world has given you to move forward with your career?
One that I've heard, I don't remember which Elijah Burke. I met the Pope actually on multiple occasions.
He's a wonderful human being, by the way.
Yeah, he is, man. He like just hearing him talk and hearing his story and stuff like that. Like he's dope, bro. But yeah, one of the things that actually he was one of the people that told me to slow down, and he also told me not to do like certain like if it doesn't matter, don't do it. Like there was one time we were on the show in Indiana. I don't remember what state or what city we was in, but I was in a fatal 4-way tag match, and I did a dive. It was a front flip dive off the top turnbuckle. When I came backstage, he was like, "That was stupid," and he was like, "Because, you know what I'm saying, the match it didn't really need it. Like I didn't have to really do it."
Yeah,
and
it didn't call for it, essentially.
Yeah,
You,
and then he. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
And then that's when he went on to teach me to slow down, like and like sell correctly with certain stuff. Like he taught me like basically the little stuff. It's the little stuff that matters. So that was some advice he gave me there. And then I got another piece of advice from Michael Elgin, and he was just telling me to like just stick to it. Like as long as I stick to it and invest in myself, I'll make it. I got everything I need to make it in this business.
You do. We said that about 20 minutes ago, that you are a future star with everything that you do inside that ring. To go back to the Pope, I really love that he told you that, because that's putting your body on the line when it wasn't called for, right? You know, you could have done it with whoever you're facing that night, knowing that you were going to do it safe and everything, but it's that inch this way or that way that it doesn't sell. So I'm glad the Pope told you that, and I'm glad that stuck with you, because that means a lot to an uber talented kid like you are that's going to be all over the place. I'm telling you that. Wrestling continues to change. Good, bad, good, bad. You know, it flips back and forth. But what is one thing in professional wrestling? There's stigmas in there that are just still kind of, you know, you have the old boys club or this, that, or the other. What would you love to see just erased out of professional wrestling? Because it really just drags it down a little bit.
I feel like one thing I hate that we have is social media. And
thanks. You're getting rid of me then, essentially. Because
no,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's like not, and I'm not talking about the positive, because there's positives that come to it, but it's just like the dirt sheets and like the fans that like to like they pulling the curtain back. That's what I meant. Like,
yes,
we need to erase pulling back the curtain, because I seen it the other day on Twitter. The Braun Breaker Von Wagner storyline, where Braun Breaker essentially he just said forget it, and just he wanted to end Von Wagner, and he smashed his head with the steel steps. But they didn't show it. They cut it. They like cut the cameras like it went dark, essentially. And a fan was sitting by recording it, and then ended up posting it on Twitter and saying this is what really happened. And of course, you can see that Braun missed Von's head, but like, why did you have to kill it? Like, why did you have to be the person to point out? Oh, like obviously we know it didn't happen, but you didn't have to.
But the suspense was still there. The suspense was still
there.
Yeah,
the suspense. Yeah, because everybody like. I saw the comments. They were like, "Oh my God, he killed him," and all this other stuff, and you ruined it because you want to be the one to say, "Oh, this is what really happened." Like, of course we know you don't got to kill it.
Right. I love that, actually. So I will take back that snide little comment that I made at the beginning of your answer. But no, you're completely right. We don't need to. Let me get on my high horse for a second. We don't need to know about what Punk did backstage. We don't need to know about this. We don't need to know about that. Let the business and the talent wrestlers organization take care of that by itself. That's their own business. Enjoy wrestling for why we started to enjoy it, because it takes us away from reality. And you gave the perfect example of, I did see that clip of the kid. So what's that kid do? For 15 minutes, he has the spotlight that he gave up what really happened in wrestling. we're going to forget about him, that kid. And we're going to
Right,
still remember, Wagner and Breaker that did this. So we'll put our own concept together. Great point, by the way, by you, Zae. Great point, because nobody said that before. Nobody on the podcast has said social media, and I like how you put the spin on it. I really do. So what are your goals here for the rest of 2023?
My goal is to just learn more and gain more experience and just hone my craft as much as I can, because I feel like as long as I just stick to learning and stick to wanting to learn, it'll help me in the long run, because I've never, being in this business, I've never had heat that I know of with any vet in the locker room. I get along with them just fine. And one of the biggest things, not to toot my own horn, but one of the biggest things that they compliment me on is my will to learn, and my want and need to listen and learn more about the business and hear what the vets have to say.
Nice. The respect for the business, wrapping that up easily. That was perfect. Is there, in 2023 yet, we're still talking, is there some more states that you want to check off, or do you want to still kind of be homebody in Indiana, or do you want to kind of maybe, and I'll throw Pennsylvania out there. Do you want to trickle over to Pennsylvania? Do you want to go down to Texas or anything like that here in 2023?
Yeah, I'm down to go anywhere. I've been to Colorado, I've been to Michigan, I've been to Illinois. I have a booking coming up in California next month on the 29th. So I'm willing to travel anywhere. Just give me a date, give me a time, and I'm there. You have to get out there. And I want to meet new people and gain a bigger fan base and wrestle the best out there. I want to wrestle anybody that I can. Just give me a name. I go in there with them. I just want to. There's no place that I wouldn't go.
Is there, you don't have to give the organization or the match or anything. Essentially, I want the state. Is there a place that you have definitely loved more than any place?
That I've wrestled in so far?
Yeah, that you've wrestled at so far.
So I'd say I enjoyed working that Illinois show that I worked. It was a show. It's called in Danville, Illinois. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it was just the setup, the hospitality I got, and it was a big crowd. So it was just that. That was one of the best states I've traveled to that gave me the best crowd so far. Nice.
Now, goals, let's say in 2 to 3 years. I don't like going any farther than that, because that's now just way out of reach. So 2 to 3 years. Yeah. Would you like to maybe travel overseas? Will you want to definitely see yourself on AEW, Impact, or someplace like that? That's for sure. But give me something that you really want to do, and no matter what, you'd like to check it off your bucket list in 2 to 3 years.
I want to go wrestle in Canada, and I want to go wrestle in the UK. I would go wrestle in either of those countries.
Okay.
Because there's guys that, I look up to from the UK. Like I said before, Pete Dunne is one of my favorites from the UK. From Canada, of course, I watched Bret Hart, Chris Benoit, Michael Elgin, Kenny Omega, and Chris Jericho. So I would like to go to those two countries and wrestle there too, and try to learn some of their cultures and learn some new stuff.
All right, nice. And those are all easily, Canada's a hop, skip, and a jump away from you, essentially. So you can just jump right over. England, the other way, you might have to do a couple other things, but yeah, that's clearly obtainable in 2 years. So I love those goals. All right, can you look back? You and your uncle playing with Booker T and JBL, the figures and everything. Can you now take an out-of-body experience and look back and say, man, I wish I could float down there and tell that little kid you're going to make it? Does that give you kind of a little fuzzy feeling right now?
It does, man, because I've always said I was going to do it, but it's just coming up in Mississippi, it's rare anybody make it. And I feel like if I would have stayed in Mississippi, I probably wouldn't have made it, because they only wrestle every couple months there. So I'm actually glad that I made the decision I made, and to be like, even to be in this point, like I haven't really done as much, but for the little bit that I have done, like I'm proud of myself because like I said I was going to do it and I've done it.
Again, you're reading my notes, because the next question is, if something, because listen, I'll be the bearer of bad news. Your wrestling career can end in a hot second. You understand that with what goes on in the ring and everything, there could be a slip up, and I don't want to be the bad guy, but it can happen. If you were not able to wrestle anymore, could you look back and say, I'm happy with everything I've done?
Yeah, most definitely. I can say that. Like, and I would be. It would break my heart, but I would be okay with what I did. I mean, of course, I would feel like I could have did more, but I wouldn't have felt like that I had a terrible career.
Right. And you have decades left. So I hate asking that question to somebody this young into the business, but I always want to say, I want somebody honestly, though, to say, no, I'd be pissed off and I really wanted to do more. But you guys always give the nice answer of like, no, I'd be happy with it. I want to do more, but yeah, that's good. All right. This is my favorite question, though, because I love taking this a different way, because you're going to be asked this on podcasts as you continue to go on them and everything. What is your dream match? But I throw in a couple stipulations. I want to know who, I want to know where you want it, and I want to know what type of match.
Oh, let me see. So I'll give you from one. Is it cool if I give you one past and one present?
Yeah, this is your podcast time. You can give me, if you want to wrestle your mom and write that down. I'm all right with that too.
So one of my so I'll give you one from the past real quick. So my dream match from the past: me versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania in a ladder match.
Nice, perfect. I love it. Yes.
And then from the present, I would say me and Leo Rush at SummerSlam for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Okay. I'm going to put a little caveat on the Leo Rush one. By the way, if you didn't know he was going to say Leo Rush this long into the podcast, you're crazy. But I'm going to make it an X Division match. Okay. It could be for the Cruiserweight or whatever, but it's going to be an X Division match. I want to see both of you guys swinging from those X's from Impact long ago.
Okay, I'll do that too.
Yeah, I think you guys would. I'm not going to swear that much, but just burn the house down. It almost came out. The F word almost came out. I'm trying to be nice to you today. Normally I let those go, but you've been good. All right, so tell everybody, this is your time. Tell everybody where you're going to be. Give them your socials so you can, follow along. And do you have any merch out there that if anybody like DMs you that, you could ship it to them, or are you on Pro Wrestling Tees, or give them all your shtick right now?
Okay, so y'all can find me on Instagram at it with two. So it's ITSSZAE and then 2 underscores. That's where you can find me on Instagram. On Facebook, just look me up, Zae Gates. I'm also on Twitter as the same as my Instagram. I've had merch. I ran out, so I'm currently getting more in stock. If you message me, I can show y'all some designs and get y'all through there. I'm trying to get on Pro Wrestling Tees, so I'm gonna have to apply for that again. So yeah, I got more merch coming up, and like I said, you can catch me in Indianapolis, Indiana, downtown, or I'm trying to get more bookings out. So hey, any promoters that's looking for a guy to get down in the ring, I'm your guy.
There you go. Zae, it has been a blast having you on the show. Guys, go out and reach out to him to get some merch. Get it while it's new, hot, and fresh before anybody else gets it. Kind of push him along to get stuff made as well. Plus, by buying merch and making him, bigger, essentially, on the old interweb and everything, he'll be able to open up his Pro Wrestling Tees store. And that's what we really want, because listen, it's not lucrative right now in the independent scene. But if you can buy a shirt once he gets on, pro wrestling tees and everything, it helps out every little bit, right?
Right.
All right, Zay, it's been a blast. Did I miss anything that you wanted to bring up? Did I kind of skimmed over? Or you just want to say, hey, I want to say one more thing, or what's up?
I know. I just, everything was good. Thank you for having me, man. This has been fun.
Hey there, this is Kaya McKenna, the Conduit of Karma, and you're listening to the Can Crushers podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Zae Gates, the Mississippi bad boy. How humble is he? He was super chill, humble, understanding. This has been a topic for a while, by the way, that Rome hasn't been built in a day or isn't built in a day or whatever the hell it is. But you know how we go here on Can Crushers. We just throw isms up against the wall, and however they come, that's how they stay. But he understands. It's steps to get to where he wants. He's not going to run right off the bat. He's just going to slowly climb up and do what is best. The advice from the Pope, awesome. Awesome. That is life advice. More so than even advice for professional wrestling. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And man, I love the stories. I love the bring it back to the family. Him and his uncle playing with that Booker T and JBL wrestling figure. And man, wrestling figures are just way too expensive anymore. They really are. That's unbelievable. But that's how he got into professional wrestling. Essentially starting with wrestling figures and then watching on TV. It's just those stories that you get to hear behind the indie scene because we don't know them. And this is why Can Crushers Wrestling Spotlight has become, because we know the stories of Randy Orton and so on and so on. We don't know the stories of indies. And that's what we love to do here on Can Crushers. Guys, make sure you follow the Mississippi bad boy, Zae Gates, across the board and continue to follow his career. He's going to take off, and I was proud to have him here on Can Crushers. Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know.